All right, so first thing, girls are not mysterious. They are random and emotional, which are two different things. The way kind of a lot of guys view women is that it's almost like they attribute some mystical, ethereal quality to them. Like they're just these mysterious creatures and you can never really know them. Only God knows who they are. Like this crazy shit. But really it's not even necessarily the randomness. Even the randomness comes from them being so emotional. So even the randomness comes from their emotions. They really base everything on their emotions in the moment. So you might think, or you might see a girl and she'll do something like it'll seem like something's heading one way or there's some trajectory you're on, and then all of a sudden it completely flips. That's because for some reason, it's sometimes you did something quote unquote wrong, but sometimes it's just now they feel a different way for whatever reason, and now they're going to view their whole world through the lens of that current emotion now. They're not going to take themselves kind of out of the emotion and be like, well, wait, what did I want to do originally? Or what's the best for me? Or blah, 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 or whatever. What's the thing I want to get? Let's take the best path towards that. It's literally just, oh, I feel an emotion now, and now everything is, my whole worldview is seen through that emotion. Another reason why they seem mysterious is because girls lie a lot. Now, here's the thing, is they don't really lie maliciously. I mean, everyone lies maliciously sometimes, I guess, especially if, some people are just straight up bad people and they just like manipulating people and shit. But girls, first of all, they have to worry about safety, okay? So, if you feel like you're unsafe, which girls are naturally less safe just in the world than guys are, so they have to keep some things close to the chest. Also, they're judged a little more harshly, or they're put into a little bit more of a box socially than guys are. Guys can kind of be anything, and even though guys will get judged for certain things, like the main thing is just like if a guy is like weak and emotional, that's mainly the only thing we'll get judged for. But other than that, we can kind of be anything, and there's not that harsh of a judgment. Girls, nowadays it's easier for them to kind of express themselves and kind of be who they are, but they are still on average judged more than guys are. So they'll say things because they're not sure if you're one of those people that's going to judge them, or they don't want to come off a certain way because they need to maintain some kind of front-facing persona, which everyone does to a certain degree, but girls just kind of do it more. They have to kind of lie more by default to keep up these appearances. And then a big reason why they lie, or not lie, but they're just kind of vague and ambiguous and they kind of quote unquote play games, is because they need to test guys who they're interested in. Well, first of all, I'm going to talk about shit tests real quick, quote unquote shit tests. I personally think that 90% of shit tests don't actually even exist. Like, as far as they don't do it purposely. Like, most of the time, when a girl does what most guys would consider a shit test, they're not being like, okay, I am going to say this thing because I'm going to try and catch him in a lie, and I'm going to test for this specific quality, so I'm going to say this specific thing, and blah, 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 whatever. It's more that girls are just always kind of passively trying to figure out the value of a guy. So they will say or do certain things to see how the guy reacts, because if the guy is who he actually says he is, he will react in a quote-unquote correct way. Because guys lie. I mean, so not only for safety, but also finding out the actual value of a guy. Like, if a guy says he is a certain thing or does a certain thing, and she actually puts it to the test, and he does something completely different, most guys would be like, oh, he failed the shit test, or why do girls play games? Well, you would only fail that shit test if you weren't actually the thing you said. The reason why girls do shit tests is because they work. The more and more that I've been doing this, and also just seeing stuff other guys have said and all this other stuff, the more I realize that shit tests work, and they are actually really good at finding out who a guy is. If a girl will purposely take a long time to respond to a text, you might be like, well, she's playing games, or why does she have to do blah, blah, whatever. Well, if a girl was taking a long time to respond to me, I wouldn't double text and try to get her attention again, or I wouldn't flip out or whatever. I'd just be like, okay, well, she's either not interested, or, which would not affect me emotionally, or maybe she's busy, or maybe she just naturally is a type of person who doesn't text back quickly or even really text that much at all. Like, I wouldn't be all emotional and needy and be like, oh, what is she thinking? Oh my God, I should re-engage her and blah, blah, blah. So a guy who would do that, she's not playing games. She found out a legit thing about you. She found out that you're needy and you're impatient and you're emotional and you can't. Jesus Christ. And you can't, hold your emotions down and hold frame and all that shit. So that's another big reason why girls kind of seem mysterious, is they kind of have to keep things close to the vest, and sometimes the reason they do it is for an actual good reason. They're trying to find out a legitimate thing about you. Everything looks mysterious if you don't have knowledge or experience with that thing. Like, literally everything. Any skill you've tried to learn, anything you've ever tried to figure out, if you study something in college or whatever, at first it seems overwhelming and how does this work and whatever, but then you get enough experience over a long enough period of time, you make some mistakes, you figure some things out, and now all of a sudden it's not mysterious anymore just because you have experience. When you can look at things from, and this only comes with experience, like even me telling you this, you might know it logically, but it won't be ingrained in you unless you yourself do the work and do a bunch of approaches, go on a bunch of dates, do all this stuff, deal with a whole bunch of different types of women. You'll be able to get that wide lens, like statistical view of things. So once you get that really wide lens view, even a girl's randomness becomes predictable. It's like poker. Like, poker is fairly random. There's a lot of things that are out of your control, but the really good poker players get to a point where even the randomness is predictable. Like, they know, like, okay, this has this statistical likelihood of working out. Hey, if I do this, there's a insert whatever chance that this would happen, blah, blah, blah. And good poker players are the ones who are able to take the very small amount of things that they can control and just exploit the fuck out of it, and basically just, exploit it to the max possible degree that they can. So another thing, and this is just because guys don't have a lot of experience and they don't even really try to test things out or even try to, well, it's partially about just not knowing the nature of women to a certain degree. They don't understand not only that women kind of lie and obfuscate and all this stuff, but they don't really know the reason why. And I just gave you a couple reasons, like, social whatever, safety, blah, 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 all that other stuff. So what a lot of guys will do is they'll kind of look at female behavior through the lens of how men act. Men are, everyone kind of lies. Everyone, like I said, has like some kind of front-facing persona, blah, 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 whatever. We could get all philosophical and shit about it. But most guys, they never get past the point of just taking what girls say at face value. Like, they just assume everything, kind of to a certain degree, everything a girl says is 100% true. And they just never get to the point of looking just one step lower and being like, okay, well, why would she do this? Oh, they're just random. They're unpredictable. Okay, but like I said, even things that are kind of unpredictable, there are kind of reasons behind it. Even things that are quote unquote random, there's some amount of like a fucking algorithm or some kind of pattern or reasons why those things happen. Most things that we consider random are really just, we don't have a big enough knowledge of it to know what factors go into each result that you could get. So once you know kind of how to get over their games and you kind of realize the reasons why girls do things, and not just that, but actually physically experiencing all those things multiple times, it's actually pretty easy to figure girls out and why they do shit. Like, so many of my clients, and even just friends and stuff I have, I'll say something and then I'll be like, oh, they're probably doing this, or I'll call something like months in advance, or I'll be like, well, she's probably feeling this, you should probably blah 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 whatever, and then they'll do that thing, and it'll be like, wow, that's exactly what you said, and they even responded with the words that you said that they would. Oh wow, she did this thing, you said she would do that like 4 months ago. Because like once you kind of know the patterns and all that stuff, it's actually like, this isn't some crazy superpower. It's not like, oh, I'm so wise or anything. I just have enough experience to be able to see the patterns and be like, oh, most likely this is going to happen. And pretty much anyone can get to that point. All right, so specifically the thing you're talking about with this girl where like she ran and it's funny because she only really did it one time, so it's not actually like that big of a deal. You know, she's not playing games. If she was going like hot and cold all over the place and like setting up a date and then flaking and then being like, oh, but yeah, let's go on another day, and then she canceled on that, like that would be actually probably she's just fucking with you. But she took a long time to respond to a text once. That's not really messing with you or playing games or anything. But just so you know why they do that, kind of going with my previous point about trying to find out a guy's actual value. So I don't even like calling them shit tests. I like calling them congruence tests or value tests. So the kind of levels are, okay, the surface level is she's taking a long time to respond. Okay. The reason why she's taking a long time to respond, it could be multiple things, but assuming she's doing it on purpose, she's doing it because she'll see how you react to uncertainty and just basically how you react to not knowing what's going on. So it's about how you deal with uncertainty, because how you deal with one thing a lot of times is how you deal with a lot of other things in your life. So they'll be like, okay, he's impatient. Okay, he's emotional. He can't handle uncertainty. And that's a good quality. Being able to handle uncertainty in the world is a good quality. Otherwise, you're just going to fucking get in your cocoon and not ever deal with risk or anything like that, because risk involves uncertainty. Obviously, that's why it's a risk. So she'll see if you have abundance, because if you actually have a bunch of girls, like let's say you came across that you were trying to project this image of, oh, I get a lot of girls, I do this and that, blah, blah, blah. Then she takes a long time and you double text her, or you don't double text her, but then when she responds, you act completely differently. She'll be like, wow, and these aren't conscious thoughts, these are subconscious. It's just kind of a way she feels. Some things are just kind of built into girls naturally. She'll see, oh, well, he responded this way. Well, a guy who actually gets girls wouldn't respond this way, or a guy who actually has this trait wouldn't respond this way, so he must not actually be that thing. Okay? So they're looking for indications of neediness. And then the step lower than that is why they're looking for neediness is because neediness is an indication of lack of abundance in whatever realm. Like, you could even have abundance with women, but if you are super emotional, and even if you have abundance with that, you get all emotional when you have different reactions and shit. You can actually, there's guys who actually have abundance, but they are just so emotional and so insecure that they could have abundance, but they need to make every girl like them because they need that validation because they don't have it within themselves. So for whatever reason, you have neediness. That indicates either a lack of options or a lack of value. A lack of value, like valuing yourself. It could be an indication of all these things. The reason why they are trying to see if you have or don't have these things is because subconsciously they're thinking about getting impregnated by you or associating themselves with you in some way, and they don't want to associate with a person who has low value. So they're looking for, because they want their kids to have good genes, they want to be around guys that have value. So they're looking for value. One indication of value is abundance and non-neediness. A guy who's abundant and non-needy would not double text. So then when they withhold texting for a while, they are seeing how you respond to see if you're needy. And it just goes all, it's just this whole chain of things. So she's not playing games, she's not being mysterious, she's not playing hot and cold. She's just, well, first of all, she only did it once, so it's not a big deal. But second of all, it is just to find out your value. So the thing shouldn't be, why is she playing games? The thing should be, why do I not have the traits that she's testing for? And that's what you need to improve. Not work on your game, not work on how to respond, what's the perfect line, blah, blah, blah. It's, okay, just me being affected by this shows that I don't have the qualities that she is testing for. And that's what you need to work on. Okay, so to give you an understanding of, well, I mean, I kind of gave a broad answer, which is that guys can lie, and guys know that having certain values, having a certain amount of value, or having value in certain areas gives you a higher chance of getting laid. So if a guy doesn't have those things, he's going to pretend in some way that he has those to sleep with the girl. And girls know this, obviously. Everyone knows. People lie. People will fucking exaggerate. People will do all this other shit. So they can't really take you at face value. It's very similar to, remember how I said that you can't take what a girl says at face value? Like, you have to kind of find the underlying reasons, like why she is doing a thing. It's the exact same. This is that version of that but from girl to guy. So they're not taking you at face value. They are, if they did, a guy could just lie. Imagine if you just believed every lie fucking someone told you. It'd be so easy to manipulate you. And for this, there's a lot more at stake, because subconsciously, on like a biological level, if a guy manipulated a girl and it turns out that guy had really bad genes, or he couldn't actually provide for her or whatever, now she has a kid with that. Like, that's a big fucking commitment. So there's actually a lot higher stakes. Girls are a lot more incentivized to not take things guys say at face value. So they have to test for those things. It's basically a progressive process of finding out your value. And then you might say, okay, well, after they find out the value, why do they keep testing then? Like, why do they test after you're in a relationship and all that other stuff? Well, because you could lose that thing. Like, yeah, you could be confident now and you could take risks now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll do that for your whole life. It's kind of like if a girl was really attractive when you first met her and then she started slowly gaining weight. You'd be like, okay, hey, you need to fix this thing. Like, you might put little jabs in there like, oh yeah, hey, yeah, we should both start going to the gym in an effort to get her to go to the gym. Or you'll just be a little less attracted to her because she started gaining weight. So now the difference is that guys don't need to test for that stuff because it's easy to see. Like, okay, she's gaining weight, she's not going to the gym, she's eating like shit, she's doing all this other stuff. I don't know, she's not taking care of like her overall style and everything. She's fucking, I don't know, not doing her skincare routine or something, or whatever else you want to fucking say. Here's the best analogy I can think of so you can get an idea of a girl's like mindset, or what it's like for a girl to try and find out your value. Okay, imagine if every single girl was just covered head to toe in like a cloak or something. You did not know what her face looked like, you didn't know what her body looked like. They're all just like shapeless lumps. Okay, now to find out if she's actually physically attractive, you would do certain things, or you'd try to do like some roundabout way of finding out, okay, is she overweight? Is she pretty? Is she this, and all this other shit? So now I don't know exactly what that would look like. Maybe you'd be like, hey, let's go for a jog up the stadium stairs or something. And then if she can't do it, you're like, okay, she's probably fat or something like that. I have no idea what that world would look like, but you know what I mean. Like, you can't just ask her, hey, what do you look like? Because then every girl could be like, I'm a 10 out of 10, prettiest face, fucking huge ass, huge boobs, I'm slim, fucking long blonde, flowing, luxurious hair. Like, every girl could just say that. And then when it gets to the point where you actually have to have sex, she could actually not be that thing. So that's why girls have to do kind of roundabout ways. They have to get the most reliable way of seeing what your actual value is. If all girls were covered in cloaks, you would never just ask them or take their word for it, because literally they all could lie. And the girls do that. Like on social media, they put all the fucking filters and they use body morphing shit and they blah, 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 whatever. So don't hold it against them. It's extremely understandable why they would do that. Like, it makes a lot of sense.